This is Land of Havilah, Exodus 36. Moses is passing along Yahweh's commandments about building a tabernacle. Yahweh called two of the craftsmen by name, Bezalel and Oholiab. They have such amazing skill in such a wide variety of disciplines and teaching skills, they're highly qualified to oversee the work. Still speaking of those two, verse 1, Bezalel and Oholiab shall work with every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh has put wisdom and understanding to know how to do all the work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Yahweh has commanded. Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. Comment: Bezalel and Oholiab have talent on loan from God in every sort of workmanship, from working in gold, silver, and bronze, to cutting, engraving, and setting gemstones, to weaving, embroidery, working with linen, and it says all kinds of workmanship. And in many different ways, using many different phrases, the text clearly states that Yahweh gave them these skills. Of Bezalel in particular, it says he's, quote, filled with the Spirit of God, end quote, to get the job done. Let's pray to be filled with the Spirit of God to identify day by day what it is we're made to do to get results worthy of the King we serve. Speaking of Bezalel and Oholiab, verse 3, and they received from Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, with which to make it. They brought yet to him freewill offerings every morning. Comment: in the last chapter, Moses put out a general call for the donation of certain materials. The people brought the material, and in verse 3, they're yet bringing them. Coming up, the fabrication of the items has begun already, and the workmen are complaining about being inundated with too many donations. Verse 4. All the wise men who performed all the work of the sanctuary, each came from his work which they did. They spoke to Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded to make. Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make anything else for the offering for the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. Comment: praise the Lord for him moving in the hearts of his people to bring an oversupply. Coming up, construction of the layer of fabric the priests will see when they're in the tabernacle looking up. As Yahweh commanded, they made 10 linen curtains woven in blue, purple, and scarlet, with depictions of cherubim in them. They wove each curtain 6 feet by 42 feet. They sewed 5 together to make one large sheet and 5 together for another. They placed loops of fabric along one edge of both large sheets, one loop every 10 inches, so that during setup they'll be able to join the 2 pieces with gold clasps. Since the ceiling's in 2 pieces, it'll be more manageable whenever they take it apart and set it back up in the next location. When we do the math, there will be plenty of length and width in the linen to cover the tabernacle and more, but not enough to touch the ground on the outside. It'll be tethered to the ground with pins and cords, along with 3 more layers of roofing on top of it. Verse 8. All the wise-hearted men among those who did the work made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, blue, purple, and scarlet, with cherubim, the work of the skillful workmen. They made them. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains had one measure. He coupled 5 curtains to one another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled to one another. He made loops of blue on the edge of the one curtain from the edge in the coupling. Likewise he made in the edge of the curtain that was outermost in the second coupling. He made 50 loops in the one curtain, and he made 50 loops in the edge of the curtain that was in the second coupling. The loops were opposite to one another. He made 50 clasps of gold and coupled the curtains to one another with the clasps, so the tabernacle was a unit. Comment: though Yahweh's instructions seem very detailed, we still don't know the pattern of blue, purple, and scarlet, or the form of the cherubim. Yahweh filled in the details according to the visions he showed Moses, Exodus 25:9, and according to the Spirit of God with which he filled the craftsmen, Exodus 31:3. May Yahweh fill you and me with the Spirit to know all the details of whatever we need to do. Coming up, they constructed the next layer of roofing, which was goat's hair, spun into threads and woven into fabric. Exodus 35:26. Verse 14. He made the curtains of goat's hair for a covering over the tabernacle. He made them 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the width of each curtain. The 11 curtains had one measure. He coupled 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. He made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outermost in the coupling, and he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain which was outermost in the second coupling. He made 50 clasps of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be a unit. Comment, they wove the goat's hair into fabric in runs of the loom 6 feet by 45 feet. Instead of 10 starting curtains, they made 11 according to Yahweh's command, and joined them together in 2 big sheets like the linen, but 6 curtains for one big sheet and 5 for the other. Again they made loops on one edge of both big sheets for joining them with metal clasps. Since this is the second of 4 layers, the clasps will be invisible, so they were brass, not gold. In final dimensions, when the 2 giant sheets will be joined together, this layer will be a little longer and wider than the linen layer, protecting the linen from the elements. Verse 19. He made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of sea cow hides above. Comment, the 3rd and 4th layers of roofing were skins rather than fabric. Translations agree that the 3rd layer was ram skins. The 4th layer varies in translation. Older translations say badger skin. Newer ones vary from sea cow to porpoise to dugong, which is similar to a manatee. Coming up, they made the 15-foot tall sideboards plated with gold. The sockets of silver were the foundations for the boards, 2 sockets per board. Tenons are projections that fit into the sockets. Verse 20. He made the boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood standing up. 10 cubits was the length of one board, and 1.5 cubits the width of each board. Each board had 2 tenons joined to one another. He made all the boards of the tabernacle this way. He made the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward. He made 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. For the second side of the tabernacle on the north side he made 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. For the far part of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards. He made 2 boards for the corners of the tabernacle in the far part. They were double beneath, and in the same way they were all the way to its top to one ring. He did this to both of them in the 2 corners. There were 8 boards and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets under every board, 2 sockets. Comment, the first step of raising the tabernacle will probably be to set the outer fence in place, but then placement of the big silver blocks for the foundation will be next. The wall boards will fit into the silver foundation by means of tenons on the boards that inserted into the sockets. The boards were about 18 inches wide and 15 feet high. The foundation will be rectangular, 45 feet east to west, and 15 feet north to south. The ceiling will be 15 feet high. Coming up, they made the system of rings and bars on the outsides of the boards that stabilized them. Verse 31. He made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the hinder part westward. He made the middle bar to pass through in the middle of the boards from the one end to the other. He overlaid the boards with gold and made their rings of gold as places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. Comment, coming up, the veil to separate the holy place from the most holy place. Verse 35. He made the veil of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen with cherubim. He made it the work of a skillful workman. Comment, thereafter the most famous mention of the veil came in the Gospels, but by then it was the veil of the second temple, not the tabernacle, but still it separated the holy place from the most holy place. It was forbidden to enter the most holy place, except for the priest, the high priest, and then only with elaborate preparation once per year, Leviticus 16 and Hebrews 9:7. Thus the name Most Holy Place, or Holy of Holies, because to be there was to be in the direct presence of God. As Jesus died, he, quote, cried out with a loud voice and gave up the spirit. The veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom, end quote. The hand of God tore the veil at the moment Jesus died, which means through Christ God has opened access to himself. Hebrews 10:19 and 20. Speaking of the veil, verse 36, he made 4 pillars of acacia for it and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold. He cast 4 sockets of silver for them. Comment, the veil was supported by 4 pillars on silver footers. The pillars had gold hooks on which they hung the veil. Verse 37. He made a screen for the door of the tent of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks. He overlaid their capitals and their fillets with gold, and their 5 sockets were of brass. Comment, this is the entry from outside. They made 5 pillars of gold-plated acacia wood to sit in brass footers. The pillars were fluted and embellished with gold capitals. The pillars had gold hooks at the top to suspend the door, which wasn't a solid door but a linen curtain. 2 Corinthians 6:16, quote, "We are the temple of the living God," end quote. May we learn to seek God so we get ourselves put together in the same wise and beautiful way as the tabernacle. Exodus 37 is next at landofhavilah.net, Exodus 37.